Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, a prominent death is leaving loved ones, including those in the UF community, in mourning. What former colleagues remember most about the former governor.
And the ongoing battle for Newberry's charter school conversion is coming to a close. We break down the decision by parents and teachers and what it means moving forward.
Plus, GRU Authority makes a controversial change that affects your credits for solar energy you produce. We'll tell you about this change and what it means for homeowners. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Including those at the University of Florida are mourning the loss of former Governor Bob Graham. This is First at 5. I'm Rafael de los Santos.
And I'm Charlize Ramos. His ties to the university have left a lasting impression on the Gator community. WFT's Alex Land has more on how colleagues are remembering the public servant.
Pictures and memorabilia line the walls of Bob Graham's former office on UF's campus, even pieces from his days as a Gator. Center Director Matt Jacobs says the loss will be felt by all of Gator Nation.
He loved meeting with students, and it's sad that that can't happen anymore, right? And students, I might be meeting with a student and Bob would just walk in and sit down. The students would be like, oh my goodness, I'm speaking to Governor Graham now, right?
The former governor and senator is known for launching the Everglades Restoration Project and serving on the Senate Intelligence Committee following the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Jacobs says one of his most impactful projects was what he called his work days. For more than 400 days, Graham would take on a full shift of an everyday job in order to fully understand the concerns of the public.
I met Bob for the first time in 2018 when I interviewed to be director of the Graham Center. And I was immediately struck by his razor-sharp intelligence and his ability to connect with everyday people. And it just came across so immediately.
Jacobs says the resources that Graham placed into his Center of Public Service will continue to help the community even after he's gone.
By creating this center, in an average year, we directly engage with about 800 students a year. He has a direct impact literally on hundreds of students, and that legacy will only continue to grow as we move forward.
That was Alex Land reporting. The Bob Graham Center for Public Service encourages the University of Florida students to take advantage of the opportunities he leaves behind, like issue-based research and government internships. Since Friday, Newberry Public Schools parents, teachers, and students have been voting to convert 3 schools to charter schools.
WFT's Teitel attended the final vote count at Newberry Municipal Building this morning. Jared, you've been following both sides of the conversion.
Yeah, Charlize, after 60 days of campaigning from both supporters and opponents of the Newberry Charter School conversion effort, it came to an end today. Parents and teachers met at the Newberry Municipal Building this morning to find out the results of the initiative. After hours of counting, some votes were much more of a landslide than others. Alachua County Supervisor of Elections held a public meeting reading aloud hundreds of votes cast by each school eligible for conversion. No. The community voted not to convert Newberry Elementary and Oakview Middle School. More than 50% of teachers and parents from each school had to vote for or against the initiative. Newberry Elementary School failed to pass by a teacher vote of 22 yeses to 21 noes. The parent vote, 149 yeses to 125 noes. Oakview Middle School voted not to pass by a much larger margin. 9 of the middle school's teachers voted yes, while more than 4 times the number voted no. Parent votes came out to 134 yeses to 244 noes. The failure to pass the charter school initiative means the schools in question would remain under the governing body of Alachua County School Board. The school board will continue to control funding, and any county resident is still eligible to enroll in the schools. Save Our Schools Newberry has been the leading opponent against the conversion, and the votes had members relieved.
I hope that they can just let this lie here as it stands. That's because we've had no choice, and the community needs to come back together.
Joel Searby with Education First for Newberry, the organization behind the conversion proposal, expressed his disappointment with some of the votes.
The Supervisor of Elections declared that the teacher vote failed, but we're preparing our options, and looking at that, we're not prepared to concede the teacher vote yet for the elementary school.
Months of campaigning, hours of tallying, concluded the great education debate in Newberry. The vote for Newberry High School came back with a combined 131 yeses and 161 noes. All 3 schools have failed conversion and will remain as Alachua County Public Schools. Live in the newsroom, Teitel, WUFT News.
We are hot and dry for another day as we take a live look at Paynes Prairie with our DOT camera. North Central Florida is feeling heat as we hit the 80s this week. Seems like every day has been a little hotter than the day before. UF forecaster Derrah is here to tell you how much longer we can expect this rising heat.
If you like the warmth, this is the perfect time for you because we're going to continue to keep on warming up. You can see the clouds starting to fill on in. So we started the week off with mostly crystal clear blue skies. Bit by bit, those clouds are starting to return. We have those winds out of the south, and that's why we're so warm. We're at 85 degrees right now in Gainesville, 84 in Bronson, 86 in Ocala, and 3 degrees away from 90 in Jacksonville, and it's after 5 o'clock, so things are really warm. Warm start to the evening. We're increasing the cloud cover late tonight, and we're in for a mild night with temperatures in the 60s this evening. High pressure is in control, so that's why we're mainly staying dry, but we do have a system on the way. I'll break down the rain chances for you coming up.
The GRU Authority Board is set to meet in a matter of minutes and is expected to make what some say is a controversial change. They are set to stop net metering. This will stop homeowners from receiving any credits for the extra energy produced from solar panels. In an agenda note, the board says solar is more affordable, which has increased participation in the program, and they can't continue to pay neighbors due to the current compensation policy. Opponents say that this move is most likely violating a city charter. The meeting starts at 5:30.
It's the dawn of a new era. In one local town's government, WUFT's Kennedy Chambers attended a McIntosh Town Council meeting where some new city officials were set to be sworn in.
For months, not much noise has happened in the city's government. Council Vice President Frank Ciotti was the only council member.
Well, we've waited 3 long months for the governor to appoint, and so we're real excited so we could get back to business and preserve the heritage of our town. We're so pleased to have such qualified candidates apply, so I'm looking forward to it.
In December of last year, 4 council members resigned over Florida Form 6, which requires public officials to report their financial information. Those positions have remained unfulfilled until now. Form 6 was not a worry to the appointees. William Lee Dedrick, Donald Medeiros, and Richard Talbert.
It wasn't nearly as bad as I had let myself believe it was, so that's not a concern anymore.
Governor Ron DeSantis made the 4 appointments. Ava Callahan politely declined. Patty Dodd was born and raised in McIntosh. She feels confident in the new additions.
We've got a very well-balanced group of people, very talented people who've been involved in the town, some in town politics, former council members, but they all have a love for our town, and there's a great balance, and I'm excited.
Council member Richard Talbert felt the enthusiasm.
Seeing the excitement and their optimism, and seeing some of my neighbors here that also stepped up, I think that's what community is all about, so it energized me. I'm glad to be here.
The city plans to hold a special election in a couple of months to fill the remaining seats before the November election. Live in McIntosh, Kennedy Chambers, WUFT News.
Parents will soon have a designated space to exchange children at the Alachua County Sheriff's Office. In a Facebook post, ACSO says the designated area for exchange of child is a safe, neutral location for parents in a court-ordered parenting plan to meet for exchanges. The parking spot is at the main building on Southeast Hawthorne Road. It's equipped with adequate lighting, surveillance, and is accessible 7 days a week. ACSO says the designation is in compliance with a new law that goes into effect July 1st.
The city of High Springs has a new fire chief. Chief Joseph Peters was just announced as the new head of the fire department. A press release states that Peters has over 30 years of experience that will help him lead all operations of the fire department. He is succeeding Fire Chief Bruce Gillingham, who is retiring after decades of service. Chief Peters begins his post on May 6. Coming up on WFT's First at 5, a high school is changing its admission process to climb the state school rankings. We'll tell you what this means for new admits.
Plus, construction that has been annoying your route might be ending sooner than you think. Stay tuned, we'll tell you what plans are going forward when First at 5 returns in just a few minutes.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Traffic on University Avenue has affected your commute for almost a year now, but The traffic headaches caused by construction are nearly over. WFT's Natasha Holt spoke with FDOT officials about how much longer drivers can expect to be impacted by delays.
Gainesville drivers have endured the extra delays on busy University Avenue near the University of Florida for almost a year. But as you can see, the traffic diversions are gone, signaling the project is nearing completion.
After 10 months of work, construction on University Avenue is finally coming to a close. The project has cost taxpayers $2.6 million. Pedestrians can soon feel safer when walking with the addition of 2 new crosswalks near Gail Limerick Drive and Northwest 14th Street. FDOT made the decision to add the crosswalks after safety analysis and the evaluation of crash data.
Well, FDOT's made some great efforts down here to enhance safety and pedestrian mobility. Previously installed new signals and crosswalks at 16th Street and 19th Street, and this is just furthering upon those efforts.
Construction has been rolling since last June with only a brief pause during football season. The project was planned to be completed by the end of March, but material delays have set them back. Now they expect the completion date to be in the next 2 months.
We expect, early summer we'll have them installed and this project will be wrapped up.
The traffic diversions that were recently taken down will have to go back up when the raised crosswalks are installed, but I'm told that's expected to begin next week.
Some parents are frustrated with PK Yonge after an advisory meeting proposed a plan to change admissions, focusing on test scores. This will make PK Yonge a selective admissions school. UF Vice President Penny Schwinn first suggested this plan in March with hopes to make PK Yonge a top 10 high school in Florida. Parents have created a petition in protest. They say this will decrease diversity, the arts, and the community at PK Yonge. But last month, UF Board of Trustees said this would be for the best. This meeting talked about the requirements necessary to put PK Yonge in the top 10. Schwinn says the admissions would require selective admission by test scores. There will also be limits on admission after freshman year, meaning if you want to enroll your teenager in 10th grade but they were not already a student, they would be denied. Schwinn also says students must take and pass AP classes. This would not affect current 8th through 12th graders.
School leaders in Alachua County have approved a year-round schooling schedule for 2 elementary schools. We've been following the discussion around launching year-round school programs since the governor's order earlier this year. The 2 schools are Metcalf and Rawlings Elementary. This is part of a 4-year pilot program approved by Governor Ron DeSantis in February. The schools will be shifting to an 11-month calendar year. PK Yonge is set to join the program in the 2025 school year.
For the first time, neighbors in Ocala will experience a drone show instead of fireworks to celebrate the 4th of July. City of Ocala and Marion County leaders are hosting Patriotic Skies, a 4th of July drone experience. The drone show will start at 9:30 p.m., while the entire event will be from 5 to 10 p.m. The show is eco-friendly and will replace the traditional fireworks celebration. Leaders say this will make the experience more inclusive by reducing noise, light, pollution, and fire hazards from fireworks. So don't be surprised to see patriotic images like eagles flying in the sky. The experience is free and open to everyone.
Rain is set to return to the forecast. I'll let you know what you can expect, and I'll break down the timing of when the rain will arrive on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Temperatures were just a few degrees above average, but we're inching closer and closer to near records. We managed to get into the middle 80s today, upper 80s for Jacksonville, Ocala, the Villages, and Crystal River today. Right now, temperatures are still hanging on to the 80s. We're currently sitting at 86 degrees in McIntosh with those winds pretty light out of the south. That's bringing in that warmer air, and clouds are starting to fill on in. We're seeing partly cloudy skies, and we'll continue to see that cloud cover increase as we head into the rest of the evening. Temperatures will cool to the 70s by 8, 9, 10 o'clock, so still managing to stay pretty warm after that sun sets, and more clouds filling on in, keeping us nice and insulated tonight, so temperatures aren't going to drop a whole lot. We'll manage to get into the 60s, the middle 60s tonight. So if you're headed out to the rocket launch, it's going to be mild and comfortable. It will take off. It's scheduled for 5:26 p.m. So about 8 minutes after it takes off, you might hear a loud boom if you're closer to the Atlantic coast Atlantic coast because those boosters will begin falling back to earth. So tonight, lows cool off to the low 60s for Alachua County. We're looking at low to mid 60s for Marion County. Nice, cool, and comfortable, but tomorrow we are forecast to hit 90 degrees area wide, and that's just 1 degree away from our record high. So the next couple of days are going to be pretty warm. Thursday, we're just 1 degree away from the record, and we could manage to see 91 degrees in some spots. Friday, widening that gap just a little bit, but still pretty close to those records on Friday and Saturday. Normal temperature is 82 degrees, so we're getting closer to 10 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. So it's looking like a great weekend to head out to the beach or the springs. Sunny skies for most of the weekend, partly cloudy skies here and there, but we're looking at those rain chances returning to the forecast on Monday. Light showers, nothing too widespread, so the chances are pretty low as we have that dry air lingering. The rest of the week, we're holding on to those warmer temperatures after that cold front moves through into next week.
Coming up next in sports, things have not been pretty recently for the 2024 Florida Gators baseball team. The Gators have been struggling, but last night they may have put themselves back on the map. After the break, we'll recap yesterday's game against Jacksonville and plenty more. Don't go anywhere.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Happy Wednesday, I'm Daniel Haviv. Let's talk some sports. It's been a tough stretch for the Gators baseball team as of late, but last night they reminded the college baseball world who they are. The Gators run-ruled Jacksonville University last night by a score of 12-1. Florida excelled in pitching and hitting, and in a midweek game too. That has rarely occurred this season. The Gators allowed 5 hits from the Dolphins while recording 12 of their own. After losing 6 games in a row, Florida has now won back-to-back games. They'll look for another SEC series win as they face number 13 ranked Vanderbilt on the road over the next 3 days. And the Gators' schedule is not getting any easier. They'll take on Vandy starting tomorrow, but after this weekend series, they'll face 3 top 5 teams in the nation. This gauntlet of a schedule includes number 2 Arkansas, number 4 Tennessee, and number 3 Kentucky. A storied group of Gators is set to be inducted into the 2024 UF Athletic Hall of Fame class, as announced today by the University of Florida F Club and Gator Boosters. The F Club committee chooses Hall of Fame inductees based on 3 categories: Gator Greats, Distinguished Letter Winners, and Honorary Letter Winners. Some notable inductees include Preston Tucker, who is Florida baseball's all-time hits leader and the owner of program records in at-bats, doubles, and RBI. Another is Scotty Wilbekin, the only Gator in Florida men's basketball's program history to earn SEC Player of the Year, SEC Tournament MVP, and NCAA Regional Most Outstanding Player in the same season. He did so while leading Florida to a perfect 18-0 record. The other inductees include Elizabeth Beisel, Marcin Cieslak, Francesca Inea, Chas Henry, Genevieve Lasays, and Hannah Rogers. Additionally, former soccer head coach Becky Burley will enter as an honorary letter winner. The Hall of Fame banquet will occur on Friday, October 18th, prior to the Kentucky home football game. First, we turn our attention to PK Young, who put up 14 runs in their win against the Westport Wolfpack. Meanwhile, Madison County defeated Brantford 7-3, and the Village's Charter beat Buchholz 1-0 in a true pitcher's duel. And taking a look at tonight's games, Newberry is set to host Oak Hall at 6 p.m., Meanwhile, Hawthorne will go for their second win of the season as Eastside comes to town, and the Dixie County Bears will host the St. Francis Catholic Wolves. One last note, the 4th-seeded Gators gymnastics team is competing at Nationals in Dallas beginning tomorrow. We'll have live coverage of their run here on First at 5 and WFT.org.
Thanks, Daniel. I hear our very own Charlize Ramos is quite the gymnast herself.
Hey, I used to be back in my day, but I'm definitely not as good as the team now. But you know what I hear is good? The weather.
It is. We're looking at a dry stretch of weather, so if you're fine with the 90s returning so soon, we'll see 90s from tomorrow all the way through the beginning of the weekend. A cold front moves through Monday, and then we're still lingering in the upper 80s afterward next week.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
Your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all our social platforms. Have a good night.